Coaches, welcome to this session on how to increase intrinsic motivation, focusing on under 13 to under 18 athletes. Before we dive into this, I would like to define intrinsic motivation and explain why it is so important. Intrinsic motivation is described by Cox 2012 as the kind of motivation that exhibits the highest level of self-determination, autonomy, and agency is referred to as being intrinsic or internal in nature. The demands upon youth athletes today can be overwhelming, both physically and mentally. Especially here in Singapore, many of you encountered feedback from Asian parents that school education is always given priority over sport, health and fitness. This presents a challenge to both the youth and coaches on how best to achieve and maintain a high level of motivation. Getting athletes to attend training and extracting their best performance during training and competitions requires a great deal of thought and planning. A coach has to develop effective strategies which offer the youth athlete the best possible opportunities to succeed. I've targeted 5 main areas that we will focus on to improve the athlete's intrinsic motivation. 1. Provide feedback after successful experiences. 2. Develop the lazy athlete. 3. Promote self-determination. And 4. Autonomy and self-practice. And 5. Decrease performance-related anxiety. Looking at the first one, provide feedback during successful experiences. Monitor and record a repetitive catching drill, 30 attempts to catch the cricket ball thrown from 20 metres away. The example we're going to use here is Tom Smith under 14 results. In test 1, using the correct method of catching the ball, 22 out of 30. Successful catches, 25 out of 30. Number 3, successful catches using the correct method of catching, 18 out of 25. We should avoid the feedback on negative results or poor focus of the athlete. Our best opportunity for developing intrinsic motivation in this scenario is to focus on feedback that we recognise their successes regardless of the output or the result. By focusing on athletes throughout their wins and positive results, you will encourage them to create an association between their self-determination in applying the correct drills and their success in performing the drills. Okay, developing the lazy athlete. Another area in which we encounter a challenge is how to extract the best performance and consistency during training from athletes who make less effort to apply their skills. These are the athletes who lack focus, consistency, or tend to disrupt sessions. They do not apply correct drills during training and would rather rely on their natural ability to get them through with a few good shots or lucky catches. How can we awaken the desire in these athletes? Tang 1990 suggests that these types of athletes perform best when challenged with feedback relating to their negative performance or results. However, if we set the bar too high, we may break their resolve altogether. So, the feedback needs to be given careful balance. Our goal as coaches is to provide just the right amount of encouragement needed to inspire them, to motivate them to want to take up the challenge and strive for improve during training. Using the same drill as before, you can see here the scores are much lower. Using the correct method, Paul got 7 balls, 23%. Successful catches, 26 out of 87, and successful catches using the correct method, 5 out of, which is 17%. So the situation here, Paul has natural dexterity, but the rate at which he applies the correct catching method is quite low, less than 30%. His successful catches using the correct drill is also less than 20%. So, feedback on negative results. Peter, your natural ability to catch is good. However, should you hope to make the team for competition, we need to see you perform consistently above 50% for both points 1 and 3. Setting the bar too high will likely discourage Peter into thinking it's too hard. Set a realistic goal that he believes is attainable, yet requires him to make more effort. Research shows if feedback is correctly applied, these types of athletes are more likely to rise to the challenge. Actualizing self-determination. Putting our intentions into actions is not always as straightforward as putting one foot in front of the other. As coaches, we recognise that each of our athletes have strengths and weaknesses. And to maintain the connection between the mind and body, we need to ensure that these athletes take advantage of their strengths during competitions and avoid their weaknesses. If a player attempts to repeat a batting stroke that they are not strong in and thus perform poorly, the player may mistakenly associate their poor choice of stroke or with their poor skills as a whole, and this may have a negative impact on their intrinsic motivation as stated by the researchers 2011. Using Tom again, we have a scenario here. Tom is playing a 20-20 match. He's the fourth batsman coming into play with only 3 overs remaining or 18 balls, with 24 runs to win. Tom is a good batsman, but when the pressure is on, he can tend to go for slogs and try and win the match. You know from training sessions that with slogs, Tom usually ends up being caught and bowled out. Consider possible demotivation for both Tom and the team if the side were to lose many wickets if Tom was taken out and a run of fallen wickets follows. In the athlete coach pre-batting chat, advise Tom that it is more important to enjoy the experience and that this is what he and the team will remember. Tell him to play to his strengths. Both the pull and the sweep shot should serve him well. Help him understand that a well-played game where the team loses by 2 runs is a better outcome than risking everything with a slog which may result in Tom and many other batsmen going out. Autonomy and self-practice. Regularity in training sessions is crucial to development, and self-practice in athletes' own time is essential to successful long-term skill acquisition. In today's busy world, it's too easy for athletes to get distracted. Therefore, during training, coaches need to plant the seed of desire in athletes, the intrinsic motivation to pick up the bat and ball every day and to make time to practice. In order to promote autonomy and self-practice, coaches must be able to articulate the importance and value of self-practice. If an athlete does not understand or perceive the cause and effect to be real, we can expect that they will not be motivated or committed to the self-practice. Decreasing performance-related anxiety. As a young athlete, performing in front of a crowd can be scary and overwhelming. As athletes get older and crowds continue to get bigger, so does the pressure placed upon themselves and their teammates. In a study conducted by Scanlon and Lithwaite in 1986, they found 2 important factors that influence the anxiety experienced by athletes. Athletes who are less skilled than their fellow teammates are more likely to encounter stress before and after a game. The more focused they are on winning rather than fun and enjoyment, the more likely they are to feel high-level anxiety. How, as coaches, can we help reduce anxiety of athletes during competition times? We know both from personal experience and from watching our athletes perform that we are at our best when focused on enjoying the game and not being concerned or overwhelmed about its outcome. So, coaches, in the pre-game pep talk, ensure that the focus is on having fun and enjoying the moment. Okay, in summary, I'm sure you all as coaches remember what it's like to have a coach who brings out the best in you. A coach who does nothing more than make you feel you want to give up. Our role as coaches is to develop the group as a team, but also to recognise that each athlete has a different personality. The methods we discuss should be applied across the team to cultivate motivation as well as the ability to focus on the task in each training session. Remember, always that the goal is to increase intrinsic motivation for cricket by applying the discussed methods, leaving athletes feeling proud of their efforts, excited and keen to return for more. Are there any questions?